Well, yeah, that was a rough one to watch. I'm doing an impromptu stream after the Carolina Hurricanes destroyed my Boston Bruins 8-2. Absolutely pathetic performance by the Boston Bruins, and yeah, I'm making a video, and I'm kind of waiting for. Unfortunately, I made a mistake on my own recording software, so it didn't capture the game properly. So I'm gonna have to get it in a different way, but I'm gonna be making a short video like I always do, but I kind of want to speak more clearly, kind of freely on a live stream right now. I'm just feeling kind of in that mood. This was embarrassing performance by the Bruins. You get destroyed by the Carolina Hurricanes 8-2, and you looked lifeless and you looked terrible. And the whole idea of spreading um, fourth line throughout the whole different lineup, it's gonna show them how to work hard. That didn't pan out so well. Listen, Beecher took some bad penalties, didn't have a great game, in my opinion. It's some moments. Um, Kastelik, I mean, he's had some okay moments. Kepi had some decent moments, but yeah, I don't know, it was bad. You spread out their best line, which is their fourth line, because sadly the Bruins are anemic to scoring freaking goals that they mean to score, and that's a whole different thing I'll get into. They just looked lifeless. Sadly, that video title really I made earlier today kind of just indicated exactly what they were tonight. They were lifeless. It was absolutely a pathetic performance, and they got completely dominated in all phases of the game. They really did. They absolutely did. Yeah, I would definitely agree with you, Bubba. It was a terrible game, awful game as a Bruins fan. If you're a Carolina Hurricanes fan, you're probably chuckling and, just kicking your feet up and enjoying the disaster for the bees. But this is not going to be the same old Bruins. I don't see it. I do not see this team being very good. The record is what, 4-6-1. I know that's not like the worst thing in the world early on in the season, but what really worries me is just the lack of speed that this big team has. They were just getting out skate to every loose puck. They were getting out hustled. They were getting out physical. I mean, even for a bigger team, they're getting dominated by the Hurricanes, and that's just it's embarrassing. It was an embarrassing game to watch. At one point, I was tempted to turn it off because I was getting like this game was so just it was a laugher. They kept Swayman in there. So what? Like the sixth goal ended up pulling him, putting Corpuscello. He lets in two more to make it 8-2. And it's not all on Swayman, but it's like a couple of them. All right, like make a save, but there's some of the defensive breakdowns. It's like Jesus, like why is this team so poor defensively? Right? I could understand if you're not good offensively. That is what it is. There's going to be those iterations of teams that just struggle to score. But what is inexcusable is the poor defensive awareness that I see on this team. It's embarrassing. I mean, Roslovic was at the second goal, I believe. He had like right middle of the slot, just all alone, and he just rifles it past Swayman. I mean, that's not really on Swayman there. That's like a dangerous scoring opportunity. Uh, it was just God. I mean, that was the first goal actually, first goal tonight. See, this night was so bad for me watching it. I'm blocking out the shittiness that I just watched. Brad Marchand, he gets a goal, but he didn't mean to get that goal. It was a pass. Once off, who was it? Slavin's skate, I think it was. Goes off a Carolina Hurricane defender skate, makes it 1-1. And the Bruins had a 5-on-3. One of their guys took a double minor. The Bruins should have scored a couple power play goals in that sequence, but a power play that has struggled continue to struggle because even they got a power play goal, hippie hooray! It wasn't an actual legitimate shot. Uh, they just seem so tentative. They're just very predictable. If you're playing against the Bruins, they're very easy to read. Like you know exactly what they want to do every single time, and they had no response to the Hurricanes' aggressive PK because and that was kind of the baffling thing. Like they're aggressive, they're going to challenge you. They're going to try to like skate towards the puck carrier, if you know what you're doing and you're going to play with kind of a confidence, you understand, like, okay, I can, it's 5-on-4 or 5-on-3 for long stretches. You should be able to get a little bit more going. Now, Kochetkov made some nice saves during that 5-on-3, but I was just overall completely underwhelmed what I saw from the Bruins on that power play. And then after that, Svechnikov, Orlov gets a goal in his 800th NHL game. Nate just gets one. And after the first period, Bruins are down 4-1. Things are not looking good. And, going into the first intermission, I was like, do you pull Swayman at this point? I mean, it's not all on him. The defense looks like complete dog shit, but is it worth, entertaining the idea? Now we're just going to let it rock. And you had some life early in the second. Hampus Lindholm gets a goal right there. That's good. You want him to start producing, but not for long. Svechnikov gets another goal. After him, Roslovic gets another one as well. Second goal of the night for both of them. And it's 6-2. Swayman gets pulled. And then you get Sean Walker on the board and Kokanyemi, both of them in the third period. Both past Korpisello. And you lose the game 8-2. It was just a rough watch, and I think the drop off I was expecting of the Bruins last year seems to be happening this year, and it's like you can't complain too much. I guess the Bruins have always been competitive. They've been in the playoffs, so I don't want to seem too whiny, but it's just like an 8-2 embarrassment like that where you can't even get shots on goal. You can't sustain any type of offensive zone pressure. It was very, very laughable. It was a difficult watch. Carolina buck rush. I think it was off Orlov. It was off Orlov's back. Okay. The team doesn't seem cohesive. Like they aren't a solid locker room team. Need a leader. I'm just going to say what it is. Because this isn't not Carolina, by the way. Carolina's a great team. I mean, they get Roslovic. Roslovic, what's he on base for 40-plus goals this season? I think, to me, Carolina's a great hockey team. So I'm not taking anything away from them when I say this. The Bruins just are dog shit. It's hard to watch. The puck handling is the most frustrating part. And making smart decisions with the puck from your top players. This might get me some flack, but David Pastrnak, with all his offensive ability, is like a walking fucking turnover. It gets frustrating to watch. He just lackadaisical pass at the blue line, so goes the other team, they go the other way. He actually caused one of the goals due to he makes so many bad decisions with the puck. And it's baffling, right? Because this is a guy that will most likely score 40 goals again this season. He's going to score a lot of goals, but it's just his decision making. While he can bury that biscuit, other aspects of his game, even with his playmaking, it's like, what are you doing? What's going on here? Absolutely infuriating at times because this is a guy that you like a superstar. And he just makes plays that guys in squirt hockey wouldn't make. And it's like, what are we doing here? And so what's the answer here for the Bruins? What's the answer here? How do you fix this? I don't know if there's any way to fix this. I genuinely don't know if there's any way to fix this. Is Merkulov going to come up in the AHL Providence Bruins and start ripping goals home? Kind of doubt it. Fabian Lysell, is he going to come up and instantly become a contributor in the top six? Kind of doubt it. But I wouldn't be afraid to try it at this point. I mean, what's to hurt? Your team can't score goals. Your team can't sustain any type of offensive zone pressure. Yeah, you got a lot bigger, but you're slow as shit. I think, my out-of-shape ass could beat some of these players in a foot race. It was pathetic to watch tonight. It was pathetic to watch. And I'm fine with the Bruins having a down year. It's prone to happen, right? You're not always going to be successful. That's just how the puck goes, right? How the cookie crumbles. At the same time, though, just the poor hockey, though, is just maddening to watch because this team shouldn't look this embarrassingly bad. And you're going to have these off nights, but it's not just one off night. The Bruins have looked pretty bad throughout most of this season. I just been completely underwhelmed what they've been able to do offensively. I wasn't in love, but I liked the addition of Elias Lindholm because I understood you need to bring in a guy as center that you can, in your top six, but you got to get more from him. Got to get more from Pavel Zacha. Pasternak's leading the team in points, but he's got to be better with the puck. Are you going to rely on an aging Brad Marchand with just getting off surgeries to have to rely on him to be a 60, 70 point guy in a season? I think that you set yourself up for failure here. James Hannigan. Monty needs to stop changing lineups so this team can build chemistry and confidence with their line mates. I would agree with that. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. I understand the idea of moving those guys up and down the lineup, but I do agree. You have to build. Anyone that's played hockey, you need to build familiarity with your line mates so you can build on it and improve. So you get to know their tendencies. That is true. I do agree with that. It was definitely. The fourth line's gonna show them how to hard work, and then they get shit on 8-2. That didn't work. Carson. A Canes fan. What the hell happened? Well, your team took my team to a Diddy party and had its way with my team. That's exactly what happened with no baby oil. No love, no care, just absolute destruction. That's what happened. It was an absolute joke. The Hurricanes are a better team, and that's fine. It's just the simple defensive mistakes and the poor puck management, and then oh my God, watching our defense panic instead of just taking a second to look up, pick their head up, look at their options, throw it up the wall. Throw it up the wall. Just throw it up the wall. It doesn't matter if there's nobody there. It doesn't matter if it's just the same play on over again and it becomes so easy to read. That's got to improve. The transition game's got to be better. And I know Grizzlick, love-hate, all that relationship, and he had his downfalls defensively, but at least he could kind of skate, pick his head up, and move the puck a bit better. The guys we have now, slow, prodding, takes them 5 seconds to process a passing lane. It's just that's got to get better. It does. It has to get better. You got to be better in your transition game if you're going to, not be a complete joke to watch. It's defensively, and not just on the defense, but defensively by the forwards, not picking up their assignments, nobody kind of going into the slot, taking away the proper lanes and picking up their assignment. It was like an ECHL team was playing against the Carolina Hurricanes tonight. It was that embarrassing. It just did not seem like the Bruins had any pep in their step. It just did not seem into the game at all. And if I'm on that Bruins roster right now, I'd be embarrassed to have been a part of that absolute spanking that you got. It was a joke. And seems like the locker room is playing, but not playing for Monty, doing it as they quietly want him gone. Carolina Backworks, I will say, being at PNC Arena during the game was fun, especially during the Halloween theme. Carolina's got some passion. I do like kind of Carolina fan base, and they're fun. They actually have a lot of fun. I actually have a few friends that are Hurricanes fans. Joshua K., that Swayman contract is already biting him in the butt. Using all their money on a goalie instead of a defense never bodes well. So I'll go with 10 shots, and then after that I'll talk about your point there, Joshua. 10 shots. I don't know. Montgomery comes in after Cassidy has some great success. It's the ground running, and you see the running gun, and it does well. But in the playoffs, you don't see as much success. He wants to activate the defenseman, do all these different things, and I don't think with this current iteration of the Bruins, it works under his play style thus far. It just doesn't. Doesn't seem like it. And is there certain guys I think that could, fit his ideal style of hockey? Absolutely. I think Mason Lohrei, he's a young defenseman, so there's going to be ups and downs, and that's something I did caution people about. Like, there's going to be some moments where he looks bad. It is what it is. That's what generally happens with young D-men. It's going to take a little bit of time to get used to the NHL game. You're hoping he can be a solid top four contributor. I just don't think the players on this roster would fit with Montgomery. Now, do I believe that they could be silently quitting on him? I mean, maybe that's a possibility. I mean, that they had same reports about Cassidy and like how leadership in the room wanted to get rid of Cassidy. But at some point in time, and this is how I look at it, like these leaders, the players in the room have to take accountability for the absolute terrible performances they're being putting out there. Montgomery can't lace him up there and skate. He's not out there, doing all this stuff. And obviously the line shuffling, we can have an honest conversation, be like, why the fuck are we switching these every game, it seems like, or every couple games, and not letting these guys build up some chemistry, which someone brought up in the chat before, which I do think is a very valid concern. I'm not the biggest Montgomery fan, so I'm not trying to be a defender, but at some point in time, these players just got to have some pride and, show up. Show up and be like not the laughing stock that it was tonight. Again, if you were on the ice for the Bruins tonight, you should be embarrassed because it was absolutely pathetic. Do I think Montgomery could get fired? Maybe. I mean, but it would be hard to be like, because what Neely and Sweeney could back on, well, if you look at his, seasons here as a Bruins coach, he put up a great record. But I'd say decision-making wise with Montgomery, and I was kind of a Bruce Cassidy guy. So in the aspect, I didn't think Bruce Cassidy was the problem with the Bruins. And I think, he goes on to Vegas and they eventually win a Stanley Cup and all that. And I'm not saying Cassidy would have won a Stanley Cup with the Bruins. We don't know how that would have shaked out. Vegas had a very good roster and kind of Cassidy got the most out of them. But I don't know. Coaching, yeah, I'm not huge on it right now. It's kind of embarrassing how pathetic the power play is. I mean, that's what we really, like, who do we got to bring in to teach these boys how to play on the power play? I mean, name-wise, right? Pasternak, McAvoy, Lindholm, both of them, Hampus and Elias. Brad Marchand, who, he looked okay tonight. I mean, he had a nice little, what was that, like a little toe drag? I think that was in the first period. He had a nice little move to just try to score on Kochetkov, but Kochetkov made a nice save. But you have names out there that should be far better than they are, but the power play is just so bad, and something needs to change. Whether it's a shakeup where you're changing the coach, or a major trade needs to happen. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like it's hard for me to blame the coach when the players are just missing assignments so bad. It's like, well, it doesn't matter what you coach. You could have the greatest coach back there in NHL history. If they're just gonna like miss assignments completely, it don't really matter. Sorry for the rambling. So the Swayman contract. Let's talk about the Swayman contract. $8.25 million per year. And I understood, like, Olmark gets 8.25. I understand going with the younger guy. I'm not panicking yet on the Swayman thing because the cap will go up, but it kind of showcases some of the worries I had before that deal was had, because it points out there's a difference between splitting in a tandem where it's kind of 50-50 and then being the guy that has to stop the bleeding, because it is a drop off from Korpisalo. Or you're hoping it's a drop off. If it's not a drop off, the Bruins are even in a worse spot than you realize. But spending that much money on a goaltender, I think, is always poor. And whether people agree with this take or not, like, I think if the Rangers end up paying, because I'll bring this up, if the Rangers end up paying Shesterkin like $12+ million, that's a massive mistake and will be very difficult for them to continue building winners there in New York. You're better off spending that money elsewhere on the roster. And the $8.25 million from Swayman, it's a bit much. And when he has these rough nights and he doesn't have these great performances, and let's say he does have a dip in his stats this year. People are going to be like, well, maybe if Swayman didn't take this some X amount of dollars, maybe we could bring in another guy to make this team overall better, right? And, it's a fair reasoning point. I mean, it's a fair point. Goaltenders, I'm not saying are the easiest position to find, but you can get a solid NHL starter, but it's more important to build up the defense and the team around him. And that proved that. Because I do think Swayman has all the makings to be an all-star level goaltender. I firmly believe in his potential. It's not a situation with Swayman where he's going to be able to like Dominic Hasek, for example, with some of those teams in Buffalo, where he's just by himself winning them games. That's a very, very, very special type of goaltender. And even with the Buffalo Sabres, looking back on it, defensively, they kind of picked up their assignments. That was, I don't know, man. That was a rough watch. That was an absolute rough watch. 10 Shot says he is not a playoffs coach when the games actually matter. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Montgomery hasn't proven to me to win the fucking playoffs. I agree with that 100%. Yeah, I can't really disagree with you on that because, we don't know. I mean, what's he got, the second round? Does he have the ability to, win a Stanley Cup? We'll see. But sure as... sorry for all the cussing, but sure as fuck doesn't look like it this offseason. I mean, this season, I should say. It's not looking good. And Nat Pat said, this was pathetic. For the first time in my 31 year of being a diehard Bruins fan, I was cheering for the other team because we don't deserve to win. I stopped at the 6. Dude, I'll say this, Nat Pat, I'm not going to lie. I had clicker in hand. I was like, I'm going to turn this shit off in a second because it was getting that ugly. It was like, this is not good. I decided to finish out the game so I could watch the Hurricanes score 2 more. But this was a pathetic performance. It reminds me of the days of like the PJ Axelsons and the PJ stuff. Like when we had guys on our roster that just like we were not a very good team. Reminds me of those days where we were losing to expansion teams. Can the Bruins roster turn this around? Maybe. It's weird because you have guys like Pastrnak, but this team just looks too slow. It looks too slow. The Bruins right now look far too slow. And they were getting beaten to pretty much all the puck battles. They were losing all their puck battles, loose puck races. They were just losing those foot races. And, Bruins just dump and chase, but they don't have the speed to get it before the Hurricanes roster players get it. God, how am I going to say this? The Bruins need to get rid of Don Sweeney, and I wouldn't even be mad if they got rid of Cam Neely. Bruins, we got to stop holding on to that 2011 Stanley Cup Finals win. It was the perfect storm. Tim Thomas was playing out of his mind. We've had good, successful teams. We've had cup performances, and maybe I'm jumping out the window here, but I've just overall draft picks and acquisitions. Maybe we gotta look elsewhere. Maybe we gotta bring someone else, like bring a different vision, a fresh voice. Don Sweeney, I felt like has gotten better as time has gone on, but I'm at this point with the Bruins. I'm sounding like a doomist, so I apologize. I'm sounding like such a pessimist, which I try not to do on this channel, but I'm exploring all options with the Bruins at this point. Like, okay, we need a shakeup. Can Don Sweeney prove to me maybe he can go acquire a guy with some speed and some top 6 type talent that can actually give allow to contribute in the top 6 so the Bruins can score more than 0 goals or more than 2 goals in a game. They got shut out by the Flyers. They get embarrassed by the Carolina Hurricanes. And Carolina's a good team. 5-game winning streak now. So, no shade on them. Very good team. And Rob Brind'Amour, unlike Montgomery, Brind'Amour can bring out the best in his players. Even if he doesn't have the quote-unquote talent, they're going to play a style in which they'll stay in games and kind of wear you down. But yeah, something's got to give here. This current construction of the Bruins roster, it's not good enough. And maybe Pasternak gets hot, maybe Marchand improves, but kind of I don't know. This Charlie Coyle, I mean, he's like Casper the Friendly Fucking Ghost out there. Can't see him. He's one of the nicest people probably on the planet, but he plays too nice. A guy that size, I'm like, where are you? You're like where is Charlie Coyle? I said that in the video I made today. Like, if the Bruins are going to be successful, Pavel Zacha, Charlie Coyle are going to have to be impactful. And they just haven't been. And Coyle's been the most disappointing one. Because last year he proved me wrong because I thought Charlie Coyle at best is like a third line center guy, right? I think that fits what he should be. Then last year he kind of put up like second line center type production. And then this year it's like, what's going on? Did you just drink beer in the off season and not give a shit? Like what's going on here? Are you just not in shape? It's been a disaster. Beantown is breaking down. Bring Kuntar because he actually doesn't give up and has a motor. I wouldn't be disappointed. I think the Bruins gotta change something different. It's watching this team every single game early on in this season. It has been a rough watch. They just look so slow. So slow. Edit says Zacha and Geeky need to go first. No one is taking the Zadorov contract. And that's the Zadorov contract, like, I thought was an overpay at the time. Like, I'm kind of lukewarm on that deal. Understand bringing in size, whatever. But I think the correction to try to get bigger and stronger, quote unquote, because of the Florida Panthers, I think it was an overcorrection. I just do. I think that was an overcorrection. I think it was. I mean, Geeky, yeah, get rid of him. I mean, if you can get rid of him, what are you going to trade him for? Like a 6th round pick, 7th round pick? Pavel Zacha, you're hoping that he can kind of turn it on. He's got a great shot. He has other attributes, but he's not playing well. And some of that could be not having the chemistry in which with the line mates yet. Even though he's played with Pasternak, who he's played with before, I don't know. It is... You're having guys that were point producers last season absolutely look terrible this year. 10 shots. If Montgomery were to be gone, who do you want to see coaching with the Bruins? I don't know. I haven't even really thought of it. If I haven't thought of it in that way, who would I want? That's a good question. I don't know. I was looking into the P Bruins AHL coach, but do you want to do that? You want to bring an AHL guy, or do you want to bring in a guy that has some NHL experience that can feel like okay, they can kind of get the best out of my players? Like a big name that, and please don't. If you're watching this poster now, don't freak out. Because a guy that might help, maybe Joel Quenneville, but I know that's a whole different case because of what he was involved with. So I understand people having like a 10-foot pole, but who would be available? Really, who would be available for the Bruins to get right now? I don't know. Maybe there's an exciting assistant head coach somewhere that I don't know about, but yeah, I don't even know the answer to that question. Edited. Sweeney is still on vacation though. Edited. I saw Babcock on Twitter. Now listen. Montgomery is not a world beater as a coach, in my opinion. I get that. But Babcock is such a dickhead. Now, do I think he got a little bit of... I don't even know if a raw deal with the Columbus thing. He's a fucking weird dude. I'm not even going to defend the guy. He's weird. And then when you hear the stories, like with what he did with Chris Chelios at the Winter Classic, where he dressed 7 defensemen for the first time ever and essentially benched Chelios after the first shift. Babcock has so much ego, and you you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I think he's a narcissist. He's full of himself. Uh, I wouldn't want to bring him into the Bruins locker room. I think that would probably be like a recipe for disaster. I definitely a hard pass on that. Maybe he's changed. Maybe he's found Jesus. I don't know, but I don't want to know. I think that would make the Bruins look so dysfunctional, and then you're talking about the Bruins for off ice reasons, and I just think that's a massive mistake. Natpat said this was worse than the '90s. At least we had Samsonov, Thornton, and now we don't even have that. Pasta turns the puck into over 95%. Zaka can't hit the net. Agreed. Monty should have been fired 2 years ago, by the way. Edited bro's going to be sliding into your DM. Yo, Babcock is trash. Let's see. Worse than 90s. I don't know yet because you can't say that because I remember growing up with the Bruins in the late 90s. They were really like mediocre. And yeah, you had Samsonov or Samsonov is how some people pronounce like they say it's to be pronounced now. But Sergey was great. I actually got to find a picture. I took him I went to the Wives Carnival, which I don't know if they even still do anymore. But when I was a little kid, went to that Wives Carnival thing at the Fleet Center when it was called that. And so I went to the Garden there. Joe Thornton, yeah, you had him, but a lot of anemic years with the Bruins back then, where they just maybe made the playoffs, and if they did, they were just outed in the first round, but just were not that great of a hockey team. And as for, I'm gonna go on Pasternak rant. I'll do it. I think David Pasternak is complete dog shit at puck management and complete dog shit with his decision making with the puck. And this isn't just like a this season thing. This has been the season. This is just Pasternak. For all the great plays he'll make and goals he'll make, where he'll just like rip it past the goaltender and he'll make that occasional filthy deke. It's like he just, when you see him try to make a cross ice pass and it's just like he's just very lazy with it, it makes you want to blow your own brains out. It's insane. I don't understand how a player with that great skill set and so many other great attributes to his game is so lackadaisical with the puck and makes so many unforced errors with it. It's baffling. I don't have answers. So, like, he shouldn't be making so many dumb decisions with the puck. And I mean, not saying Brad Marchand's innocent of either. He tries to do way too much sometimes instead of just getting his cycle going. But Pasternak can be an unmitigated disaster when it comes to his turnovers. And it just makes it difficult because then you go from like, and this is the Pasta special, have I noticed over the years. He'll be at the offensive blue line. He'll be looking, and then he'll throw a lackadaisical pass, gets picked off, goes the other way, or gets the stick poked off a stick, and they go the other way, and then you have an odd man rush. And that either goaltender makes a nice save or goes in the back of their own net. It's tough to watch. It really is. Yeah. Great player, great goal scorer in that regard, but there's a lot of deficiencies in his game, and not everyone's gonna be a 200-foot player. I understand that, but he's got to be better with the turnovers. He just has to be. He can't. It just seems like, I'm not saying he doesn't care, but when he makes those decisions, it just looks like he don't care. He just don't give a shit. That's how it looks like. Kane scored a touchdown +1. Geez, I thought the Bruins were going to be good forever. Never happens. I wish that was a possibility. Pasta's working with third liners, though. Pasta is also getting double teamed and being relied on too much, which is probably why he's been mid. And this is why there's different levels. I'll give you this, edited. Does he have great line mates around him? No. Zaka is probably his best one. I know they've tried Marchand and Pasternak, but Marchand's no longer in his prime, so it's not the same type of quality. So, you know what? I'll be fair. I'll give you that. But even outside that, it's like some of the like just common sense type plays that he like just the lack of common sense I should say in which he's playing hockey with right now. It's infuriating to watch. You know, you're thinking like, okay, maybe Lindholm and Pasternak, and that's I think ultimately what you really wanted to happen is like if Lindholm and Pasternak could work together, get some chemistry, that could have been a nice little line, but for whatever reason, hasn't worked early on, hasn't meshed early on. I maybe you try Matthew Patra, who has looked okay. You know, I mean, he's a second-year player. I mean, really, he had a short rookie year last year due to that shoulder injury. I think it was it was a shoulder injury. But I'll give you that. But I still think Pasternak's got to be better with his puck management. He just does, has to be. Now, Pat, you always stick around the entire opponent. Yeah, I mean, edit out like again, he probably feels like he has to do too much, but I feel like if he just there's just too many like high risk passes that he'll make that just like why? There was an option down low. There was an option to rip it around the boards, and you know, hey, fair enough. Maybe the Bruins players are too fucking slow to win that foot race, right? Because that's something I've already complained about. But at the same time, he's got to be better. He just does. He just does. He has to be better, and he can be better. That's the inferior part. I think he can be better. He's a guy who can score you 40, 50 type goals, like phenomenal goal scorer, but you know, just some parts of his game that gets infuriating to watch. Infuriating to watch. And before I go, I'll say this. If the Bruins do indeed not make the playoffs this year, and this is their down year, and this is where they completely fall off the table, am I no longer a Bruins fan? No. I've been with the Bruins since I was a little kid when they couldn't, they were kind of a laughing stock, if I'm being honest with you. You know, they had some moments like Billy Guerin, Jason Allison, like, you know, already mentioned like Joe Thornton, Sergei Samsonov, but I remember like, you know, getting Marco Sturm in a trade essentially for Thornton, and like I've been with the rough times with the Bruins where they weren't even anywhere near the top. So I've experienced this before. And you can't consistently stay in the playoffs forever. It's impossible. It's a competitive league, and you have teams that are constantly improving and young prospects. But that being said, I think the Bruins could be a wild card in some shape if they make some type of move. What can they do? I don't know. It's like 10:09 after that depressing game on a Thursday, on Halloween night. I'd have to look into different options and some guys they got to bring in, but there's got to be some type of shakeup. Whether it's bringing up Lysell or Merkulov and giving them an opportunity actually in the top six. Whether it's a trade where you can maybe get a guy that can score some goals, and I'm not saying a 40-goal scorer, but maybe a guy that's, you know, perennial 20-goal scorer. But something's got to change. Something's got to give here. If the Bruins want to stay a contender, or I should say even just a relevant playoff team, with this current iteration of it, I don't see it happening. You know, like when the fourth line is the leading point producers of your team, that you have a problem. You do. You don't have enough offense. It's not generated enough. And I don't know. I'd like to see them try to like bring in like some guys with some good foot speed, because they get beat to every. It just seemed like tonight especially they got beat to every foot race to the loose pucks. I don't know if it's just those are the moments that stood out to me. It was infuriating to watch. Infuriating to watch. And hats off to Carolina for really shutting down passing lanes and staying aggressive and blocking even some shots. I get that, but couldn't generate shots on goal. Thought that was going to be a different thing when I saw the Bruins actually take a shot really early on in the first period, but something's got to give here. Something's absolutely got to give. Ed says, I want to see him with Patra for multiple games to see what happens. Yeah, I mean, if that's what's got to happen, absolutely. But the whole Max Jones or Joel Jones experiment, I mean, I'm kind of over it at this point. You know, I wasn't expecting the world at a guy like that, but what can the Bruins do to really add another piece? I still think they need something there. Something. You know, I think Matthew Patra has the skill set, and similar in a sense, not like a David Krejci, like exact replica, but he has patience with the puck, can be a good playmaker. I think with Pasta, you should be able to see him grow, but at the same time, you're going to need to give him a leash because he's a younger player. You can't just be yanking him after one bad game. You're going to have to ride through the fucking rough goes of it. Because that's the thing with young hockey players. They'll show those flashes, they'll show that potential, but then there's going to be those moments like, oh my God, why do you do that? And that's why I don't get as mad with like Lohrei messing up. Yeah, he's made some mistakes this early in the season. Matthew Patra, to be fair, when he's had the opportunity, I think he's played fine enough. Young guys will make mistakes. I get more infuriated with or annoyed with veterans making basic mistakes that just should not be happening. But, Edit says, I see Patras and Lindholm being a good center core for going forward. It's just they need 3 wingers in the top 6, which I don't know how they'll fix that. I agree. I don't know. I don't know how they would fix that because, quite frankly, what's going on here? Why is this being weird? Quite frankly, I don't know what they would do. Because who do you bring in? Do you bring in like a... What is going on? Why is my computer freaking out? Apologize. Okay, that was weird. I apologize for that. You know what it was? I had my editing software. I had my editing software up, and then that kind of just bogged things down for a second. Yeah, I don't know what you do there. Do you bring in somebody that from a team that's not so hot that you feel can contribute? I don't know. It's kind of early. Looking at the standings, most teams are still in it, so I don't know if they're going to make a trade this early, but I think for me, Edit, if I'd be honest, right now, probably it'd have to be Lysell or Merkulov, who you feel like could come up. I mean, maybe if Lysell gets called up at the NHL level, he can use his skill set in a top 6. I don't know. Don't have the answers because I don't think there really is any, unfortunately, unless they go out there and make a trade. But appreciate everybody watching. Random, sad, depressing Bruins stream, but Carolina Hurricane fans, if you watch this, I know you enjoyed that ass beating you gave my team. So if you enjoyed this video, this live stream, make sure to hit that like, that comment, and that subscribe button if you have not already. I'm going to be making a short video. I've actually already made it. I just unfortunately had to rip some video because unfortunately my OBS failed midstream and I didn't know that. So is what it is, but I'll have a video up probably in the next hour or so, maybe even sooner. So appreciate you guys watching. If you like more live streams or more live reactions after the game, let me know. I'd be more than willing to do this. And maybe I'll just pick a game of the night where I can just, do a live react to and see where it goes from there. But that's all I got to say. See you guys